Christmas Eve, so time to read and react. We begin with the Giants and Vikings. They face off on Sunday in a rematch of that thriller a few weeks ago. Marcus Spears is going to do a Christmas album next year. That was one of 11 games that the Vikings won by 8 points or less this season, the most one-score wins in a season in NFL history. However, the Giants also had success in close games as their 8 wins in that scenario were the second most in the NFL. These two teams nail-biters till the end, right? But Marcus, what do you think will be the key to this edition of this matchup?
Boogie, ask me why Justin Jefferson is not the most important person.
Why is he not the most important person?
Because it's Dalvin Cook. Okay, I'm going to give you a crazy stat. I'm going to give y'all a crazy stat about Justin Jefferson. When Justin Jefferson goes over 90 yards, Minnesota Vikings are 10-1 and they average 28 points a game. When he goes under 90 yards receiving, they are 3-3 and they average 18 points a game. So what would you do if you're the New York Giants? Take Justin Jefferson away and put this football in the hands of Dalvin Cook. If you're smart, like the Minnesota Vikings should be, your next most explosive player is your running back. So you need to figure out how he can have an impact in this game. And maybe his impact will result in Justin Jefferson being a little bit more open. And voila, you are able to be the Minnesota Vikings that you want to be. I think Dalvin Cook has to have an imprint, not only on this game, but in the playoffs, if the Minnesota Vikings are going to make a legit run.
You know what else in the category of voila? The Giants are getting back Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson in the secondary as they're going to try to slow down Jefferson. So that's some nice help, right? Okay. Next up, Cincinnati, where Joe Burrow spoke to the media ahead of his matchup with the Ravens on Sunday night. Take a listen to this.
It's do or die. That's where you like to be. In those moments, I feel like is where I kind of make my best plays. It's just where I'm comfortable, and these moments are moments that you remember. You don't always remember week 6 games on the road. You remember these playoff games, these home night playoff games.
I'm not sure if anybody is as cool in these big moments as Joe Burrow is. I mean, maybe you, Key, but either way, what do you expect from Burrow in his second playoff run this season?
I can hear you, Dan, but I'm not paying attention. I think when you look at a guy like Joe Burrow who has the experience in the playoffs, he's 3-0 in the regular playoffs, not including the Super Bowl. That's 4 games of experience if you count the postseason with the Super Bowl. You can just tell the swag with him. He's like, I live for these moments. It's cool. We 16 is good, but this is what I die and I live for, and I'm part of that right now. I'm trying to get my team to the Super Bowl.
Let's go. Yeah, I mean, he could also smoke some more cigars, which everybody's here for. Let's get to San Francisco. Since replacing an injured Jimmy Garoppolo in Week 13, Brock Purdy has led the 49ers to 6 straight wins while throwing multiple touchdowns in each of those games. That's the longest streak by a rookie in NFL history. So, Dan, what under the sun is allowing for all this success for Purdy?
I'd say the big question was he going to have a connection with some of those weapons that we often talk about when it comes to San Francisco? First of all, the connection with Brandon Ayuk, and specifically over the middle of the field, hasn't skipped a beat. It's fantastic. His willingness to thread the ball into tight windows, trust that Ayuk is going to be where he's supposed to be, and really build on that rapport and the connection has been very impressive. And then I'd say this, he's got a very good feel for George Kittle's routes. Kittle's a very good route runner, but you got to have a great feel for when he's going to come out of the cut, where does he want the ball placed, and to watch that really develop has been impressive. Also, he's been so impressive, I was actually going to vote for him for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Then Michael Parsons hit me up and was like, Dan, if you do that, I will hunt you down. So I had to place him second behind Garrett Wilson. But
you got scared.
I have a question. Is it voila or voila?
Dan, here's the thing.
It's voila.
French.
It's voila. But
it's voila.
Voila.
But French, you can interpret it however you want. And who knew that Dan Orlovsky was going to be our expert on international languages today?
Voila.
Didn't see that one coming on the bingo card. All right, still to come. The Jaguars will host the Chargers on Saturday. Trevor Lawrence aims for a playoff run. He's been fun to watch. Dan is going to show what the Jaguars offense must do to stay alive this weekend. It's all next on NFL Live. Relates to some of these injuries, Lamar Jackson has been battling a PCL sprain, hadn't played in over a month. That was since December 4th. The Ravens had the Bengals on Sunday night. Now we're going to get Adam Schefter in here for real, okay? We saw a little preview of him earlier. Adam, what do we know about Lamar's availability this weekend?
Laura, it's 38 days now since Lamar Jackson was injured and no practice again today. This was always going to be a telltale day that would tell you a lot about whether or not he would be playing on Sunday night. The fact that he's not out there at practice at the start of the week tells you that this is tracking for Lamar Jackson not to play on Sunday night against the Bengals and for him to miss his 6th straight game. Certainly doesn't look like they'll have Lamar, and then the question becomes, will they even have Tyler Huntley, who's been battling shoulder tendonitis and wasn't throwing at practice today either, which would leave them back in the situation that they were in last week when they played in Cincinnati and the Baltimore Ravens had to turn to Anthony Brown to start. That's right now a prospect that certainly seems very real. We don't think that Lamar will be ready in time for Sunday night. It's been a week where there were people initially who thought, yeah, he's going to have a strong chance. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll play. Heard a lot of different things leading into the weekend. And I think now, as the week has gone on and he's not practicing, I think it's crystallizing that he's not on track to play Sunday night.
Yeah, when Harbaugh was talking about it today in his press conference, he said, I have nothing to add. I think that also speaks to the situation that Adam's illustrating here. So Lamar, of course, still waiting on that long-term deal, right? But another Raven cashed in this week. Adam, what can you tell us about Roquan Smith's new deal?
Well, Laura, the Ravens announced an extension today, a 5-year extension with Roquan Smith, their linebacker. Not only keep one of the top tacklers and defenders in the National Football League, but they also now have the ability to go out and use the franchise tag if they want on Lamar Jackson, because Roquan Smith is under contract. They don't have to worry about losing him this offseason. He's contractually tied to Baltimore, and now they have the tag available for Lamar Jackson if the two sides cannot work out the long-term contract that they've struggled here the last couple of years to get done. Lamar's going to be a free agent. The tag is available by way of this agreement with Roquan Smith.
Man, it's interesting. For those wondering, hey, Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent. How's all that going to get shaken out? Well, Roquan Smith doesn't have an agent either, and he was able to reach this deal thanks to Adam. More from him coming. All right, so since Roquan Smith made his Ravens debut in Week 9, Baltimore's defense has held their opponents to 14.7 points per game. Second best in the NFL, trailing only the 49ers, the best defense in the league. They've also gone from ranking bottom 10 in yards per game allowed to top 3 in that category. Let's go, Roquan. They're like, yeah, let's pay you. You're making a big difference. Okay, so with Lamar's status still up in the air, seems like the pressure's going to be on this defense Sunday night against Cincinnati, and that's a hard task. But, Key, what do they need to do?
Well, Swagu knows as a defensive player, the first thing you do is you find the snake and you cut the head off, and that would be Jamar Chase. You shut him completely down. You double him. You don't allow him to get that offense going. We saw the Cincinnati Bengals offense at times without him in the lineup. A little bit different. Once he got back into the lineup, it became a very explosive offense. Then you press T. Higgins at the line of scrimmage. You make him play big boy football. Then you go after Tyler Boyd. If Tyler Boyd can beat you all alone by himself with Joe Burrow, then so be it. But if you think about this Ravens defense, they beat them earlier in the year without Roquan Smith in the lineup. Now they have one of the highest paid linebackers in NFL history on their side.
Well, looking at that graphic that you had up makes me more angry that Lamar's not playing, because they would have a legit chance. Very simply, if the Cincinnati Bengals don't turn the football over, the Ravens have no shot to win this game. They're too good of a team to go against. Now, defensively, how do the Ravens go about somewhat trying to slow down this offense? Number one, you have to live in two high quarters type of shell. But be aware that Joe in this offense is going to take their shots downfield. This is just a little underthrown by him last week. And I think the second thing is understanding that the right side of Cincinnati's offensive line is new. We talked about that yesterday. Attack it. Force those guys to communicate. Force those guys to pass things off. Force those guys to make sure that they're on the same level on a consistent basis. And this defense that Baltimore runs has those blitz packages. If I was Cincinnati, I would be sitting there going, what are you going to do to our right side? That's the only shot. I hate when analysts sit there and say, well, they don't turn the football, because I think we have to be better than that. But it's very simply in this game, if Joe Burrow don't give the ball away, there's no shot Baltimore wins this game.
I'm with you. And listen, the reverse of that is I was going to say Baltimore Ravens got to turn the football over and score on defense. Like we talking about
defense has to score.
Yeah, defense has to score. Just playing good enough defense, I still don't believe that will be enough. And they played. That was a solid game that they played against Joe in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, last week when we saw them in the first game, obviously. And they got a bit healthier defensively as well. But when you look at Cincinnati, man, I think this game really boils down to Joe Burrow's maturity.
Yeah.
All right. If I thought Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals were going to come out there every other down and try to hit a bomb to Jamar Chase and be reckless, we would be having a different conversation. Chase was targeted 13 times in this game, right? And that was favorable matchups. But ultimately, if the check down, like you're talking about the line of scrimmage, check it down. He's been doing it all season long.
Here's some hope for Ravens fans. During the regular season, Joe Burrow has just 3 games with a QBR below 40. 2 of them are against the Ravens, okay? So there you go.
Look at you.